Hello everybody, Flik here, and it's time for the 15th Let's Chat, my weekly vlog series that gets posted every Monday at lunchtime if you're in the UK. And if I sound a bit rough, it's because I'm recording this rather early on the Sunday morning. I meant to record this on the Saturday, but I kind of got distracted with piling up a lot of other videos for release next week. Not to beat around the bush too much, you probably heard in other locations like Twitter and whatnot, I'm currently playing through Dark Souls 2 and have been for over a week now. For the purposes of review, I got a review copy from Bandai Namco. Like I was talking about last time, I chased it up and I got one. So I've been doing that mostly. So I've got a 40-minute review that's going up on the channel tomorrow evening. I can't say what time, or maybe I can. When you've got an embargo, I don't think it's against the rules of an embargo to mention that the embargo exists, unless it's a super embargo, but those don't exist yet, thankfully. So yeah, tomorrow at 5 PM, my 40-minute review of Dark Souls 2 will be going live. It was my first time doing a rather serious review in video form. I used to do reviews all the time when I wrote for criticalgamer.co.uk if you're curious. And in fact, if you're curious about my thoughts on the original Dark Souls, you can go to Critical Gamer, type Dark Souls into the search, and you'll probably find it, if you're interested. So yeah, when I'm writing, I go through a much more professional process, I would say. That's the only kind of way I can describe it. I do my first draft where I'm kind of just throwing my thoughts on the page, and then I'll do a second draft where I basically cull what I've written. I take out all the ambiguity, anything that runs on too long, stuff that doesn't make sense. Maybe I'll reorder it because I want something earlier in the review rather than later. And when it comes to doing a video, I don't use a script ever when I'm recording. Sometimes I'll have notes, and you'll probably have heard me mentioning those. Those are like for when I do indie games. I'll have a note next to me with very quickly scrolled one-word things like release date, March whatever, price, this, game name, developer, and that's it. And then anything else that I talk about is just as it comes to me. Maybe that's not the most professional way to do it, but I don't think reading from a script when recording a video, for YouTube anyway, is the best way to do it. I know lots of people do. Lots of other people don't do that, but then they also rely on heavy editing afterwards to give the appearance of being coherent. And I kind of prefer the natural approach. I don't mind if I sound stumbly at points because I'm trying to theorize my thoughts before expressing them. It's part of the joy of not having a conversation with someone who's making content, but it's as if they're there and they're just talking like a normal person, whereas you can tell when someone is reading from a sheet that they've written out word for word, or at least I can, but that's possibly because I was a writer for so long. Like, have I ever done it? Yes, twice. I've actually done it twice. For my channel trailer, I wrote out what I was going to say, because that is how someone learns about your channel, so I had to be succinct and to the point. I couldn't ramble much. Anyway, I did actually kind of go off script on that, but I'm not going to say where. It's just it's inbuilt into me. I can't stick to a script. Pardon me. And I did the same for my Patreon trailer. I wrote out all the points I wanted to get across there, and then I still managed to go off topic a little bit, but that's the way I do things. And I already got so far off topic of my original thing, which was tomorrow. Yes, the review of Dark Souls 2 will be going up at 5 PM GMT, that is. And a little while after, at my usual posting time on the day, is going to be the first part of a playthrough of it. And to keep things interesting, since I've already played through the game, I haven't quite finished it yet. And by the way, in my Let's Look At, I theorised that I was near the end of the game. I wasn't. There was actually a ton more to do after that. But I'm getting through it, and I am very, very close to finishing the game now. Yes, so the playthrough is actually going to be a mage build, a pure 100% mage build character, which I never did in Demon Souls, never did in Dark Souls, because it doesn't usually suit my playstyle to be a full mage, outside of, say, like Neverwinter games. That would be the only exception where I like playing as a mage. So it's going to be a slightly new experience. Yeah, I'm going to know what bosses to go after, but the playstyle is totally different. So, you know, it should be interesting for me, and hopefully for people watching. And as with any new series when I start it, please show your support if you want to see more of it. There is a bit of a difficulty switching between that and Monster Hunter. I've recorded a Monster Hunter video yesterday, and I think I'm going to do one more today as well. My playstyle differs between the two. Excuse me, that's the downside to doing this so early in the morning. I still have a sore throat in the morning because I've been breathing through my mouth while I sleep, I assume, because my nose is still a little bit stuffed. Let me take a sip of my tea here. So as I was saying, going between Monster Hunter and Dark Souls, you technically have to be careful in both. You have stamina management in both. Although when I went back to Monster Hunter, it was like I was feeling like I was playing carelessly, and I think you'll agree when you see the video. It's against a high rank Great Baggy. I'm not sure what I'm going to fight today. Later on, we'll see. But you'll be able to look at it and tell that I'm not playing my best. And it's because I'm used to being able to lock onto enemies, to sprint at them with my weapon out. But on the opposite side, when I did take a hit, it's like, oh, I didn't lose almost all my health in one hit. That's refreshing. I mean, I don't know. What I'm saying is it's hard to get into the mindset for both games when you're playing both at the same time. They have similarities between the two for sure, but it's still difficult. So I'm not sure which one to prioritize my time on. I want Monster Hunter 3 to last me till next year. So I don't want to sit and record tons of videos of it in one sitting. Outside of, doing co-op nights, that's you can't avoid that. And on the subject of that, I'm not sure how long it will be until the next one, because I do need to make progress on my solo stuff. Otherwise, the online stuff where I'm getting help from higher ranked people, they're going to get me access to gear I shouldn't have yet, and that'll throw off the power balance, and I'm trying to avoid doing that. I know we've killed other stuff like that already in the previous co-op night, but it never gave me enough stuff to make gear. So yes, I want Monster Hunter 3 to last me till next year, and that means I don't mind playing it on and off. It means my overall quality of play will suffer a little bit because I won't have as much experience. I mean, I've been playing Monster Hunter 3 a lot this past few months, this year especially. Yeah, but I might focus on Dark Souls 2 for a little while. I think I can do it reasonably quick. I mean, I'm talking, my review file is like at 50 hours now, but I've done a lot of side stuff. I've realised since then a lot of stuff I've been doing is actually optional. So I may make my mage playthrough a bit more streamlined. We'll see. But I think that's all I wanted to share regarding that. I could talk about the subject of embargoes a little bit if people don't actually understand how they work or what they are. Embargoes are when developers/publishers want to control when reviews, previews, etc. of their games come out. As a general theme, it's usually just, you must not post a review, written or video content before this date, at this time, in this time zone. That's the most basic of embargoes. It's simple. Now, you could say it's slightly dodgy if a game embargo is on the day it comes out, because that might be because people don't want bad reviews to appear prior to people having the chance to pre-order. You have to decide for yourself whether that's the case. Whoops, I hit my desk, sorry. But you do also get embargoes where there's some really weird stipulations about what you can and cannot do. Now, I've mostly been able to avoid that kind of embargo, but I remember there being a piece on it on some gaming website, it was a year ago by now, I would say, where they were talking about specifically the kind of things that Nintendo would embargo when they sent out review copies. I'm surprised they even do that. I imagine they probably don't these days, but still. It was things like, you must not show off these certain weapons, you must not show off these certain monsters, you must not say, well no, they can't say you must not say this because that would be against the law. You cannot show these levels because of spoilers, you cannot show this cutscene because of spoilers. They were very, very precise. Whereas most gaming companies just say, nothing before this date. Now, oh, I felt that cough coming. I apologise. The only one I had with any additional stipulations on top of that was when I did Devil May Cry, the DMC one, the most recent remake. They only wanted reviews and previews to take footage from the first 3 missions and to have no more than, 5 minutes of footage from any individual stage? Or maybe it was slightly more than that, or maybe it was no more than 10 minutes of footage from a given mission, so that you had to mash the 3 together, and it offered variety, and I didn't see any real problem with that. It was a bit of a weird stipulation, but that's up to them to decide. Mostly it is because they want to control when a huge PR push happens. So say it's the week before release, and that's when the embargo lifts. Everybody who just browses any gaming site will suddenly be seeing a lot about so-and-so game. It might then get on their radar, and especially if it's getting positive reviews. So that's the main purpose for embargoes. As I say, they are sometimes misused by people who have done internal reviews, realise their game is not finished or done or good, so they try and stifle reviews in order to make sure that the game is released to an unwitting audience, and they find out for themselves that the game is actually bad. A most recent example of that, the other Walking Dead game from last year. What was it called? No, not Deadliest Warrior. The one where you played as Daryl. That never gave out review copies because they knew it was shit, and everyone agreed once they could. Well, I assume they did give out review copies, but they set the embargo on release or the day after release. So by then it was too late to warn everybody. Watch out, this is actually pretty bad. You probably shouldn't buy this. Oh, you've already bought it. Whoops. So yeah, you always have to be very careful if companies are doing that kind of thing. Generally, if you're interested in a game and you're sitting there wondering, well, hang on a minute, the game's out in like 2 days. Why haven't I seen any reviews yet? That's the warning sign. That's a really big warning sign. Another warning sign that, as far as personal preference goes, is if the game doesn't have a demo, assuming it's the type of game where a demo would be beneficial, although apparently demos don't do anything for publicity. I think that's bullshit, but I remember that report coming out fairly recently saying that demos are costly and don't actually improve the chances of your game selling well. I don't think that's true, but you know, I could be wrong. Oh, and excuse me, I was taking another drink. I regret starting this so early in the morning, but I have to because I'm doing more stuff later on. Oh, it's a horrible tickle in my throat I have. But for the most part, I am over that horrible cold that knocked me out of commission for a week. I then had to sit and go through a week's worth of unanswered indie game dev emails. And if you did contact me and I didn't reply directly, I apologise, but I had so many, I was just kind of going through them reading the blurbs in the press release and kind of saying to myself, does this sound like it interests me? Would this be okay on my channel? Yes, no. If it was no, I just deleted the email. I apologise. I don't have time to give out no's. I just have time to give out, yes, I'll try this, and if I do, I'll get in touch. That's usually what I say to people. I found a very interesting one that will be going up later tonight, by the way. It's only... Oh, Maya, what are you doing? Wait, what are you doing? That's a bag of recycling and now you're eating a bit of fluff off the floor. You're mental. Do you want me to get that off your face? No? I'm wearing very fuzzy socks. Fuzzy isn't the right word. Woolen? They've got like a woolen interior, so if I take them off too quickly, sometimes the wool comes off. And Maya has taken to eating it, and I'm not sure if that's healthy for a dog. She's also just brought me a frisbee, and I assume if I bend over, she wants me to pick it up and throw it? Yeah? Is that what you want? There you go. I totally forgot what I was talking about now. Getting over the cold and the indie dev emails, yeah. So later tonight there's one going up. It's a short video and I apologise for that, but it's also so that I have enough time to upload a rather large 40-minute review due up for tomorrow, as I was mentioning. But it's a really interesting game, and I know it might not be to everybody's taste, but I would encourage you just to take a little look. It's a very reflective, meditative game, and it's probably the first indie game of that type, or game of that type in general, that I've covered on the channel. I've also recently hit, I think it was 90 Let's Look At videos, or maybe I'll be nearing 100 very soon. In fact, I can double check that while I record. If you excuse me for a second, if I press on playlists. And now Maya thinks she heard something, so now she's kind of sitting against me thinking, what was that? What was that? Should I be worried? Should I be worried? Yeah, I recently hit 90 Let's Look Ats. So the big 100, I'm not sure what it'll be. It'll probably be some random indie game. And I never get bored of getting told about all these weird and wonderful indie games I never would have heard of had I never started doing that series, and I'm so glad I did. Yeah, so I think I've covered everything I want to cover, really. I apologise for sounding croaky and coughing. It's just one of those leftover colds where you get a tickle in your throat if you talk at length too much and you just have to cough a little bit. You know what I'm talking about. Everybody gets that now and then. I certainly hope it actually wears off once I warm up my voice a little bit later on for when I want to do some Monster Hunter and Dark Souls 2 recording. And please show your support for those two series if you are interested, and come back next Monday to hear me ramble about random stuff. I did ask on Twitter, by the way, for early morning suggestions on things to talk about for this Let's Chat, and Emo Unit said I should talk about his good looks. His or her good looks. I don't know what gender they are. No. So, thank you as always for listening. See you next Monday, and ta-ta for now.